out the hand, switch, shooters on swoosh, hitters don't miss. Already just added a ton of y'all to my list. Bitch, death wish, not to be messed with, tested quiz. They shooting shots, hitting bricks, we testing the kids.
Welcome to Deep Thrones, the most entertaining podcast in the world of Ice and Fire. I'm your host Sims here with my co-host John Sheedy. What's up, Sheedy? How are you?
Hey, I'm doing well. I'm excited. We're back.
We are back, and it has been a very long time.
A year and 2 months since the Thronies.
A year, wow, 14 months. That's like, you know how much happens in 14 months?
How much? Tell me what has happened in 14 months
I
for
I
you, sir.
am I am like so deep in suburban fatherhood that I don't even know. I feel like I'm getting more basic by the day. You know, I had a pumpkin spice pancake this morning.
Oh my
What the
God,
hell is that? You tell
dude.
me.
And also, didn't you see? I'm not trying to put you on blast here. I don't know if I should even say. We could edit this if you're against this, but did you saw the Taylor Swift movie, didn't you?
I did not see it. My wife went to go see it with her sister. They loved it. Rave reviews.
Right.
I respect T Swift's hustle. The music just isn't necessarily for me, but
She's
you
like
know,
an artistic Peter Baelish. She's just constantly rising up the ladder. She's constantly making the climb. You know,
her business acumen is unmatched.
Oh, 100%. 100%. But 14 months.
14 months.
14.
Excellent. Dude, this is, we've rebranded in 14 months. Now we're a Taylor Swift podcast.
We are
So
Taylor, yeah, we do Westeros ads in the most entertaining Taylor Swift podcast.
what have you been up to the last 14
Dude,
months?
I got indoctrinated into a cult and deprogrammed in 14.
Mm.
No, I'm kidding, of course. Just a lot of work, living here, living there, living everywhere, moving around, just promotion at work, which is nice. But just living,
Love, love.
nothing too crazy. Seeing friends and family getting
Boys
married,
are
friends
the
getting
boys are
married.
vibing, the boys are thriving. I have something fun that I thought you might love.
Oh, let's hear it.
Okay, so speaking of being deep into, suburbia, I joined a wine club within the past 14 months. And other update, my wife, we're expecting our second
Woo!
in January, so right around the time that House of the Dragon comes back. But when you have a pregnant wife, the wine club doesn't necessarily work as well as it used to. The opportunities to consume said wine really just take a lot of time. So I thought it'd be a good idea to do wine reviews on Deep Thrones and help me get through
Wow.
these, 14 bottles of wine that I have just, collecting dust.
Love that. I am hyped about. Wait, that should be like a segment. Is that like for our future
I
episodes
think
we're
we,
saying?
I think we started. I think we
100%.
started. Okay, so
Love it.
I'll just start. So this one, Vara. This is a Garnacha Vino Tinto from Spain. Do you know what a Vino Tinto is?
It's a no.
It's a red wine. It's a red blend.
Like a
Spain.
nice Dornish red.
Yeah, it's a 2020 vintage. So, the wine enthusiasts out there know that 2020 was a tough year for wine. A lot
Eh,
of the European vineyards had a drought going on,
Tough year for a lot of
so
tough year for a lot of people.
so okay. Well, here we go. We'll try the Vara from Spain.
Okay, for those of you listening, he's sipping it now. He's sipping it. He's apparently aerating it a little bit, kind of sniffing it. Got good legs. He's taking another sip. He's chugging it.
So everyone knows the rules.
What did you
Um,
think?
that's fantastic. Very dry finish, flavorful initial taste. I'm picking up notes of oak, maybe
Nice.
like yeah, but very citrusy as well. Very refreshing, light white red wine, not white. I would give this. I like my wines on the lighter, drier side. I'd give this, 4 stars out of 5.
No Shea curve though. 4.5 stars out of five.
You never know if Shay was involved in
That's
bottling
true.
this. You never know.
So I would like to assume then when we're recording for the actual Hedge Night, Night of the Seven Kingdoms in January and February, and when we're recording for House of the Dragon season three,
Mhm.
if for the in studio episodes, you'll actually bring the bottle
Oh yeah,
so
yeah,
that I get to
absolutely.
participate.
Yes.
And it could just be a segment called like Sauce and Sauce Boys or something like that.
We can we if we don't finish the bottle by the end of the episode, then we're in trouble.
I like that. I like that. That's a good rule because the content at the end of that episode will be great.
The beginning's so crispy, and then by the end, we're just like,
Oh, that's
oh,
awesome.
I hate this.
I know. So obviously Thursday, the Westeros world was a buzz. I'm gonna be honest with you. I went deep into comment sections on various forums. I mayhaps argue that people are more excited for this than they were House of the Dragon.
Wow, I mean that's a strong take right there. I'll back up and kind of do a high level overview here. So the reason why we're back and recording this podcast is, of course, the trailer for Night of the Seven Kingdoms dropped on Thursday, like Sheedy alluded to.
Yeah.
Uh, Very hot trailer, got the internet a buzz. I'm really excited for it. This was one of the stories where years ago when we were talking about, what stories we would like to see covered in the Westeros world, we talked about A Dance of Dragons, which House of the Dragon is based on, and we talked about Dunk and Egg, which A Night of the Seven Kingdoms is based on. So
Tim's
without
called
giving
both. You give yourself credit. You said both of them.
it,
I asked you the question. You said both of these, and HBO was listening.
well, there's a reason why they're really compelling stories that have larger than life characters. And this one, without giving away anything, really, no spoilers, this is based on who became one of the most famous or infamous King's Guardmen of all time, and really came to represent what chivalry means, and like, the likes of Jamie Lannister and even
Yes.
like a Damien, well, not necessarily a Damon Targaryen because the timeline doesn't match up
But a
there, but
Barristan
the knights
Selmy,
who, right, yeah, like the knights who really tried to not only be august and strong, but also show up in like a larger than life way and have all these different, sigils and banners and like really forward with their identity. A lot of that comes from this era, which is about 100 years before what we saw in Game of Thrones. So really excited to cover this.
me too. Me too. There's a lot of sort of backstory that we will naturally cover as we get closer, once we actually start covering the episodes that Chris will sort of be able to pepper in. But this is sort of an interesting time for the Targaryen dynasty. And I'm going to say dynasty because it sounds cooler. But the dragons are kaput at this point, pre-Daenerys. And so the one thing that made them gods, but we'll get into all that, but that's, I think, an important part of this story.
Hmm.
Before we get into all that, though, I have a few questions for you, Chris, before we break down the trailer.
Okay.
Question number one. The story follows Dunk. He's the guy, he's a hedge knight, fighting for pennies here and there. And his little squire named Egg, he's a young boy, he's bald, and they have this very cute relationship. But I want to ask you, from someone who read these novellas, what is that relationship? Is it like father son? Is it like an older brother, younger brother, creepy uncle? What kind of relationship is this?
It's one that is very unlikely. So, again, high level, staying away from spoilers. They don't really have much chemistry in the beginning. And so it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. I think the castings were spot on for both these characters. And the vibe of their relationship, at least just from the trailer, seems exactly like it was in the books. So, yeah, very exciting. Eventually, Sir Duncan becomes a knight, right? And the direct relationship to Egg is he ends up being his squire. So, we'll see how it goes. I'm kind of trying to like tiptoe around saying too much and getting
Yeah,
people at my throat in the comments of
we
this,
don't want that. Yeah.
but yeah, that's high level of what their relationship's like.
Great. And another person who is very prominent in this trailer, and again, we're going to break down the trailer in just a moment, but Lionel Baratheon. He seems
Mhm.
cool as hell. He's got a cool ass nickname. He's got a cool ass crown that he wears. He's only now again, this is the Seven Kingdoms are under Targaryen rule. It's the normal. There's the king and the wardens, but he's the lord of the Stormlands. And tell us about Lionel Baratheon and his cool ass nickname.
Lionel Baratheon, the Laughing Storm.
Come on,
How sick is that, right? We took
come on.
like I've said it like three times I think already in this episode, but the larger than life characters, this guy personifies that. And we saw just in the trailer, I feel like, I mean, you mentioned it in our kind of post pre-production show, but basically he stole the trailer just like with his facial expressions, with kind of his like jovial attitude and very
Yeah.
like dark and trying situations. And that's who he is. And he's elevated himself to, Lord in one of the most volatile regions in the Seven Kingdoms,
Yeah.
and there's a reason behind that, right? He's not all just jokes and laughs, right? Like he's also an extremely deadly and extremely serious man at times. So I think he's going to be very fun to watch and see how he plays out in season one, and very excited to go on that journey.
100%. It's like if you remove Stannis, who has not a funny bone in his body, like Robert, Renly, and this guy, at least from the trailer, Lionel Baratheon, there's like a jovialness to them, but also their house words is ours is the fury. Like Robert
Mhm.
Baratheon was like an absolute demon on the battlefield, yet he loved to drink and laugh and joke around. Like he was one of the boys. But when it came down to it, it's like you played football. You probably played with a lot of those guys who off the field you're like the nicest guy, and on the field he's trying to like rip someone's head off. That's
Oh
the
yeah.
vibe you get from like a Lionel Baratheon. He's like Robert personified. He's like, we love to have fun, and then it's like, oh, we're going now. Let's go. You know?
Mhm. And it'll be interesting to see long term how the relationship with the Targaryens plays into how the Laughing Storm behaves throughout the seasons that we see. You know, canonically, the Baratheons are like one of the most loyal houses to House Targaryen. But as you mentioned, like this is a trying time for them. They've lost their biggest power symbol, which was dragons, and so
Yeah.
I think we're going to start to see some of that power jostling that we've seen that we're used to in Game of Thrones.
Yeah, I think a lot of people don't know that, and if Aegon's Conquest ever gets made, we'll cover it. But Oris Baratheon, House Baratheon, rumored bastard brother of Aegon and his sisters, who conquered Westeros, helped them take the throne, and then Robert
Mhm.
Baratheon took their throne. It's very fascinating, and this is sort of that middle Baratheon. So actually,
Yep.
it's a great point. My final question: where does this take place? Is this in the Stormlands, Ashford, and all these tourneys?
So the Ashford tournament is in the Reach.
Perfect.
So
And that's sort of the catalyst. That's sort of the
yes, yep. So that's where all these characters are heading to throughout season one, and then the second half of season one, more than likely, that's where they're all going to be together. The Reach, is the Southwest Kingdom, has places like the Arbor, Old Town,
oh
just south of the Westerlands, where
yeah,
where
yeah,
Corey Lannisters
Old Town,
are.
yeah.
All right. Save that for House of the Dragon. All right,
Yeah. Oh, you're right. I don't. I have honestly, I don't even know who I'm behind yet. Lionel Baratheon is an early favorite, but you wanted to do one more thing before we got into the review.
Yeah, yeah. But one thing I'll just add on the
Oh,
Reach
please.
too. Importantly, it is kind of the breeding ground, for lack of a better word, of chivalry in the Seven Kingdoms. Like when you
That's
think
right.
of knighthood, other than
The Veil.
Vale, right? Like that the Reach is where a lot of that is kind of elevated or put on a pedestal. So it makes sense that the Knight of the Seven Kingdoms first season would be there.
100%. You think about Loras Tyrell and his infamous armor that he wore in the Battle of the Blackwater. You think about how quickly the Tyrells got behind Renly, and what was Renly doing? He wasn't fighting a war; he was playing at war, as Catelyn
Yep,
Stark
having
famously said.
tournaments. Yep.
Yeah, so Brienne of Tarth, all these knights or, people who wanted to be knights.
Mhm.
It's very fascinating.
So yeah, so the one thing that I thought would be fun to just kind of discuss with the trailer without again getting into spoilers. What did you love about the trailer and what did you hate?
Okay.
We'll start with the good.
Well, I do love, then you do love, and then I do hate, and then you do hate. You want to switch off like that? Or do I do love and hate, and then you do your
Just
love?
yeah, just rip both love and hate.
Okay.
Let's start with love. We lead with love.
We always lead with love. Vivid. The color palette for Game of Thrones, House of the Dragon can be a little dreary at times, can be a little one note. Game of Thrones, especially, like season six, is like it's blue. It's like every scene is
Yeah,
blue. You're like, is this what am I watching?
dark
Um,
and blue.
yes, very vivid. The colors are popping. Spring, that's the tagline that they posted literally on the Game of Thrones Instagram was this winter, spring is coming. Very cute. Um, I like that the show is House of the Dragon and Game of Thrones very much is about the hierarchy of Westeros fighting battles. This is following just like these two just guys. Just
Mhm.
this dude and this little guy, and they're going to puppet shows where they're seeing Tansel and all these people. And another thing that I like is that it's being adapted from a book, not a history book. Less interpretation from show writers,
Mhm.
more straight to the point. And Ira Parker, the showrunner, promised to George that we will follow Dunk, we will follow the peasants in this book, and we will, as faithful and as an adaptation as we can do.
Love that. Love that.
Oh, and then my hates.
Your hate.
Um, My hate, it's weird because I didn't like outwardly dislike anything in the trailer for myself. I think when I look at it in the macro, I think a lot of fans of this world are going to say, no dragons. They're going to say, oh, it's so lighthearted and funny. Are they doing like a family sitcom? They're like 30, they are 6 episodes and they're about 30 to 45 minutes each. So they're shorter episodes based on a novella. We're not being cheated. Honestly, the audiobook of the novella is about 3 hours, which means we're probably going to see created scenes for the show because there's just not enough information there to even get 6 episodes. We're actually getting a stretch, whereas in House of the Dragon and Game of Thrones, toward the end, we maybe got restricted. Um,
Yeah.
so I think the tone of the commercial was very upbeat and comedic, and I don't necessarily think the show is like that throughout. There's definitely a lot of struggle and hardship, and I think the show is going above and beyond to show people, hey, this is Westeros, but it's different. So that's why the commercial comes off as comedic, is because they have to hammer that point home. Because George and Ira Parker both multiple times, we've said it, are like, this is not Game of Thrones and House of Dragon. It's Westeros. It's a different story, and they're just belaboring that point.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you on most of the things you said there, and
Oh, most, Chris,
that's
most.
I was gonna say that's no surprise because we've been thinking about this happening for years to come. So I have no notes. I think the one thing that I'll kind of just add a little color on, the contrast between Game of Thrones, House of the Dragon, and A Night of the Seven Kingdoms. What I love about it is it's simple, it's gritty, it's meant to be. It's supposed to be kind of a microscope in a world where we are, trying to take everything all in at once and 30 different characters and 15 different POVs and all this stuff. And now it's essentially one POV that we're going through, Sir Duncan the Tall, learning and diving deep into what it means to be a hedge knight, kind of the bottom of the bottom. Like his value really lies in the fact that he has a horse and that someone happened to knight him when he was young, right? So that's a very stark contrast to what we're used to seeing in these grandiose halls and castles and palaces and things like that. So very excited, love seeing that just in the trailer and excited to see more. What I hated, and hate might be a strong word, but what kind of gives me some concern is it is like the novella, you're allowed to read and see what they're thinking and what the
Mhm.
motivations are. And I'm concerned about how they're going to convey that on screen.
That's
And
fair.
and does that mean, there's more dialogue between Egg and Dunk that wasn't necessarily in the book? Are they going to add in a character? Is Tanzo maybe going to fill that role sometimes? Like, I don't know, but um, there is a good way to do it. And I think the best, directors and screenwriters and things like that know how to do it, but that
Yep.
does concern me a little bit. And then the other thing, and this is really small, but I got to be picky here because
Do it.
I am a nerd when in this regard. Arian Brightflame, who is again one of these larger than life characters. When you read about this era, he is one of the names that pop up basically near the top on everything you search. His hair, the casting, it's
You want
short.
it long.
It's short hair. It's
I
like he's supposed to have like the long flowing, almost
I knew it.
white Targaryen hair, and
Hmm.
it's short. And I'm kind of like, okay, well, I don't know how I feel about that, but
His helmet's sick as fuck, though.
the helmet is, and that's another thing. The design, the costumes, they were all like very true to what was in the novellas,
Yeah.
which we haven't. I mean, we started to see in House of the Dragon. I think they did a great job in that, but Game of Thrones was not that at all.
No,
So
I mean the
very
king.
promising there.
No, but I think you're right. There's a right way to do it. There are going to be more scenes that aren't in the novella to try to flesh out the characters, and it's risky. I mean, if you've seen some of the House of the Dragon scenes have been very controversial. You see though some added scenes in early Game of Thrones when Robert talks to Cersei about five armies versus one army, and he does the fist. That's a great scene, and that was added. So it's
Hmm.
like if we get more of that, we get more of Baelish and Varys that maybe wasn't in the books versus, it's there's like you said it yourself. There's a right way to do it, there's a wrong way. We just need the right way.
Hmm. So, but overall, like the level of excitement is, palpable. I don't think that my concerns are very small concerns. And the fact that it's a much smaller setting, that all the material's been written, that makes me a lot more comfortable and excited heading into this.
And the rumor is they're going to wait to see probably 2 to 3 episode worth of ratings. And the rumor is they're only doing the first three novellas. They already told George, we don't care if you write more. We're doing the first three.
Wow.
I love
Interesting.
that. That's great. Very smart of them to do. And the rumor is if the first 2 to 3 episodes are strong, they're going to greenlight two and three, and they're going to film them back to back in 2026 for a 2027, 2028 release. So this
Hmm.
series and House of the Dragon both will end in 2028.
Interesting. And then
Very
maybe,
smart of them to do.
yeah, yeah, maybe we get Aegon's Conquest after that.
I think that would be the timeline. I do. Especially because Egg is at that age where like he's only going to be young for so long.
Yeah. Yeah.
So but should we talk about what we saw in this trailer?
Yeah. Yeah. We can dive into that. I got to be honest, it's gonna be very dry for me because like I know I was like I read the book before we recorded this episode. Between the trailer and the episode, I read it again. So
What
it's
a nerd. What a nerd. What a fucking
I
try.
don't want to, yeah,
Oh, I read the book and drank wine all day. I just was so busy before this. Come on, Chris. Come on. All right. Whatever.
say it here.
All right.
But yeah, I mean, if you want to go through scene by scene, I can be the color analyst and
Yeah, I love that. We'll just bounce around and be really quick. So the A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms trailer, A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms. It's not called Hedge Knight. It's not called Dunkin' Egg. They're calling it A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms, premiering January 18th, every Sunday till February 22nd. They're competing with the Super Bowl on one of those Sundays. Wild choice. Um, that episode will be released Wednesday from us.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I would honestly, I'd be shocked if they air it, but I guess
Me
uh,
and Chris are getting ahead of that right now. The Super Bowl one is being aired, is being by
a
from
week
us is
later.
being Wednesday. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Or
yeah.
two, maybe Tuesday. We'll see. All right, so it starts with Dunk burying Sir Arlen of Pennytree, who apparently is that man that knighted him from his childhood. Very sad. It's raining. Um,
Yeah, and I'll actually jump in there because I don't know how much they'll be able to cover. This is one of those things, right, where in the very beginning of the book, there's a lot of self-thought and self-talk that Dunk has while he's burying Arlen and Pennytree. And I don't know how they'll convey that. Maybe it'll be like a voiceover as they're doing it. But his
it is
relationship with Sir Arlen was very nurturing. Dunk's parents were, out of his life from a very early age. I don't think he ever knew his dad. His mom ended up passing away early on. So, Arlen became this father figure, and he was an old knight. He was not really good at tournaments, but, in a melee, he could, be a little sneaky and end up lasting a little bit longer than some of the other knights. So, earn a decent purse that way
love that.
and really taught Sir Duncan what the life of a hedge knight is like. And, we'll see throughout the series that there's hedge knights who are, awful people and, are basically no better than robbers, except for the fact that they have a horse and they were knighted. And then you have hedge knights who are, actually embrace chivalry and, try to help people when they can and don't steal from people and things like that. And Dunk learned all that from Sir Arlen.
It's
So
awesome.
very pivotal figure in his life. And again, wanted to give some background there because I'm not sure how much they'll be able to convey
Yeah.
screen before,
Maybe they could make Dunk just fully insane and he could just talk out loud to himself. He's just
So-
like, I loved him. He raised me. But he did say that Sir Arlen charged him to be a good knight and defend the innocent, and he swore to him that he would. So it does seem to be very father and son. He's sort of we see sort of the dichotomy between the haves and the have-nots. There's a guy with a horse that says, "Are you Baelor Targaryen?" And Dunk is like, "No, no." He's like, "Then move the fuck out of the way." Just cool stuff like that. I think the trailer for being 2.5 minutes conveyed a lot about that class system that we talked about. The peasant
Yeah.
named Pate.
Yeah, and we experience this stuff every day, right? No matter, life in a lot of ways, like there's a lot of bad things that happens, there's a lot of tragedies, and we find a way to like laugh and be light and find joy in those situations. So I love that they're, having that side of Westeros because it's not one that we really see in the other series.
No, not at all. He meets Egg. He's a bald young boy. And it's just a funny exchange of like, who are you? He's like, I'm Sir Dunk of the Tall. He's like, I never heard of you. Because, knights have sort of a reputation. And Dunk obviously takes offense to that.
Mhm.
Um, and it appears they're going to become traveling partners to Ashford. Dunk or Egg says to him, like, if I would love to go to Ashford with you. I could be your squire. And I'm sure Dunk in the show will be a little reluctant at first.
Yep, definitely going to be some reluctance there, but we'll see how that plays out.
Yeah, and you can see there's a lot of cute exchanges. He's trusting Egg, at least in the trailer, has him hold his horse, and it says like, "If you rob me, I'll hunt you down. I'll find a dog." Barks at him. So they have that very cute relationship. I think that those two's sort of the vibe that those two have together, I think, is gonna carry the show. Although
Yeah,
the trailer was carried by Lionel,
it's kind of like our relationship, like it's
100%.
you're kind of my
I'm
squire. I'm
I'm your
I'm the knight.
listen. I don't know if I agree with that. All right. I always thought it was more of like a Varys Baelish, like we respect each other, but we're
Yeah,
constantly trying to backstab each other.
I see that. I see that.
Power hungry, but I could be your 10-year-old bald squire who's just hopping around. Um, as I said, Targaryens are, no more dragons, but they still are hammering the class system. You can tell there's sort of an arrogance to them. And I don't know if the show will convey this because the trailer was arrogance heavy, but I wonder if there is maybe a realization of, ooh, no dragons. We're just like any of these guys.
We no notes on that one. We'll see.
Aerion Targaryen, Aerion Targaryen. His parents wanted him to get bullied. He insults Dunk. He's like, "Are you a stable boy?" And he's like, "No, I'm not a stable boy, my prince." And he's like, "Oh, not smart enough." It seems like a dick.
That casting is probably going to be one of the more consequential ones. I feel like a lot of the success or failure of this show is going to hinge on that actor.
Really?
Um, Arian Brightflame is one of the most controversial characters in that first novella. So we'll see. I trust that the cast HBO does a great job historically with castings.
The casting is usually very good.
Mhm.
The writing is the question usually. We see there's a puppet show going on. They have special effects, which is very cool. They have like a
Mhm.
fake dragon breathing fire. There's this girl who's like doing some dancing or what have you. Dunk is in the crowd, wide-eyed, staring at her.
Dunk's a little smitten.
Yeah, yeah, and is that I don't know if this is a spoiler, but her name is Tansel.
Her name's Tanzel, nickname Too Tall. So Sir Duncan the Tall, Tanzel Too Tall.
Wow.
Action there, but we'll see how that one plays out as
If
well.
they hook up tall ass kids, D1 children,
NBA,
dude,
yeah, get
D1 children.
Shaquille, Sir Shaquille the Tall.
Yeah, what's Duncan's last name? The Tall.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think he has a surname.
That's true. I think only lords do, right? That's
Mhm.
what they say. Um, there's a lot of tourney montage. There's a point where Egg actually questions why Dunk lets these royals treat him like their lapdog, like they're his betters, and Dunk says they are my betters.
You talked about it with the caste system and how, like rigid it is, right? There's typically not much movement up that ladder, and this might be a story where that happens. It might not.
Yep. And montage of some very well-trained knights while there's a voiceover of Dunk having a drink and I think wearing Lionel's crown. Those guys seem to be boys getting drunk together, and he says something like, all these high lords and well-trained knights, I'll never be as good as them. And Lionel seems a little drunk, and he says, "Oh no, you won't." Something
Yeah,
like that.
I mean, just the boys chopping it up. Lionel keeps it real though.
Yeah. And then this is a scene that I don't believe is in the books, but they see a shooting star, as they say in the show, a falling star, and very cute build between Egg and Dunk here, and sort of their relationship. Egg says, like, when you see one of those, it's supposed to be good luck. And then Dunk says, well, it's the luck ours alone. I think it's good. I think it's
There's
good, Ed.
definitely multiple people seeing that same star.
Yeah, there's only so much luck to go around.
Mhm.
Um, Duck, Dunk, Duck. Dunk enters a tourney sort of battlefield. It is smoky. It's wood all over. There's people in sort of the seating area, and it looks hectic. Aryan Bright Flame is in there, looking, fierce. It doesn't look pleasant.
No, so that's Ashford. That's the tourney at Ashford. There's an event there that takes place that is once in a lifetime for the people for the contemporaries in this scene. So yeah, I think we'll see that as kind of the climax of the show. But I think the cinematography from what we saw in the trailer looked amazing. I think
Great.
they did a great job at again with like the costume design and then even like kind of that POV where they were charging at each other and it kind of narrows in on who we assume to be Dunk there. Like I don't know, I that got me goosebumps as I was watching that.
100%. Yeah, there's seven knights on horses. Sir Lionel Baratheon is doing a fun sort of voiceover where he's telling Dunk, be brave, be just. And then he goes, be tall, Again, he's just one of the boys. I love that. We talked about this already. Aerion's helmet is sick. Intense battle footage. At one point, Egg is running and he screams, get up! So I don't know. I think Egg is gonna be more in the mix.
Yeah, yeah, sure.
And like you said, okay, yeah, no spoilers. I don't know. I honestly don't know.
I don't
As,
know. I don't
as the,
know.
as the trailer ends, as you said, that great cinematography, the seven knights on horses charge into that smoke, and that's it. That's all we see. That is the trailer for A Night of the Seven Kingdoms premiering Sunday, January 18th.
They really know how to get you fired up for a premiere.
They do. They do. I thought it was awesome. I honestly did, but I'm a fanboy, so I had to sort of separate myself, look at it from another person's perspective. So I showed my mom, who appreciates the world of Westeros, but by no means knows who any of these people are. And at the end of it said, "I'm looking forward to learning who they are. I don't have no clue, but that was actually a really awesome trailer."
Yeah, and I got some feedback too from some friends. Like one that stood out was someone said that it looks like that they're focusing on a smaller group of people, but going deeper into, their motivations, what their story is, background. And I feel like that was an astute observation, and that's what I plan on loving about this series, as in contrast to the others that we've seen.
100%. I think it's a perfect change of pace from the other two. Um, I look forward to seeing how it plays out and going from there with it. If we see the next two novellas, that means that they did something right.
So as we usually do in these episodes, we give a rating. So I'll ask you to lead us off. What would you rate what we've seen in the trailer thus far?
Oh, the trailer, dude, I give it a very optimistic 8 out of 10. All right, because again, we've been hurt before and I'm willing to be hurt again, but an 8 out of 10 because I think that for people who understand the Duncan Egg story and know it, for like Westeros fans, I'm not talking about the casuals who Game of Thrones and House of the Dragon picked up. Like it hit the stuff it needed to hit. They're going back to OG Game of Thrones where they're like, we got to just get the Westeros fans and word of mouth will do the rest.
Yeah, yeah, agreed. I love that. I forgot that we go on a scale of 10 when I did my wine rating. I did it out of five. So
Wine is different. I think wine we do out of five.
we just no consistency, just one
There's no,
five, one
yeah,
10.
sometimes we do it, a star
Do like
rating or like something else.
we'll do like buckets of popcorn one
Yeah,
time.
yeah. On cinema at the cinema.
I give it again a trailer like 4.75. They know how to get you excited, right?
Out of
Regardless
five?
of how.
How are you doing this?
Oh shoot, yeah, sorry, wait. I go back nine. That'd be a 9.5 then, right? Out of
Yeah,
yeah, nine
yeah,
and
you
a half,
doubled it.
right? They know how to get you excited, right? Like I wish I could watch it tomorrow or this Sunday,
I
right?
know,
We're releasing this on Monday, so
I
wish
know.
I could watch it yesterday. So yeah, very excited.
We were in the doldrums of our off season, where we sort of separate from Westeros, we do our thing, and I just sort of texted you. I said trailer dropped, and your text, I'm not gonna lie, I was working, I looked down at my phone, saw it, put a big smile on my face because you were like, dude, goosebumps, and I was like, same, because I was like, good, because I had the same exact vibe. We have very casual fan. Actually, I think our our financier, Rob, who also won Fan of the Year last year, told me he watched the trailer and was very intrigued by it. So there's a lot of positivity out in the world of it, just out in the, just be positive, right? Lead with love.
You can lead. That's it. That's our tagline this year. Lead with
Yeah.
love.
In a world of Aeron Targaryens, be a Lionel Baratheon.
There we
And I
go.
don't know. I honestly, the show, I hope holds that up. Unless unless Lionel Baratheon's a terrible person.
Yeah. No, but I mean, I love it. All positives. Looking forward to it. We'll leading up to the season starting, we'll do kind of a, what to expect, a little bit of background on some of the history and things moving forward to it. And maybe, it could be a cool exercise to do like, what happened between the end of House of the Dragon and the start of this, right?
That'd be a lot of fun.
That'd be hard to, not give spoilers on House of the Dragon. But anyways, we'll have content leading up to this.
Just do it. Just do it. Yeah. No, 100%. And looking forward to talking to you guys then. I'm good, Chris.
All good.
Awesome. Allison, hit me up. I haven't forgotten.
Whips, check out the handle, switch, shooters on swoosh, hitters don't miss. Aria just added a ton of y'all to my list. Bitch, death wish, not to be messed with, tested quiz. They shooting shots.